Well then, boys and girls, I have Aditya Dube with me, who is slowly growing an F1 community with a different approach to it.
Today we're at like 7,200 members.
When did you actually decide that I can be a content creator in an F1 field, but just out of sim racing?
When COVID hit, that's when I used to stream F1. I connected with a lot of international creators. Their Indian audience saw an Indian flag on the grid.
Are you saying it's as good as sitting in an F1 car?
In my sim rig, it's a mid-level thing. The torque that comes from the wheel itself. So mine's got 9 Newton meters, but these guys use like 16, 20.
I cannot imagine we are speaking about torque and all of this, but in a virtual
world. And it can actually break your fingers and hand.
Is there someone who you related with, someone's story that has hit home for you?
I've been a McLaren fan. So when Lando came into the team as a young driver, and he also used to stream, right? So I felt very connected with him. That
the F1 community as such are a very close group. So do you think there's enough support?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of support, probably because
people are right now following F1 in India because it's more like a popular sport. There's some Formula 1 fans who will say, bro, you're not a DTS fan, you don't know the history, geography of... Is it important?
I feel like...
Well then, boys and girls, we're meeting different people from different works of the sports field, right? And Formula 1 is something that I started watching because of Drive to Survive. I started, investing my time and myself in a few podcasts, speaking, with different people. And I found someone who is slowly growing an F1 community, to say, with a different approach to it. Right, I have Aditya Dube with me. Hi Aditya, thank you so much for being on the show. Aditya is into sim racing, and through that, he's been able to create an F1 community. So, Aditya, before we start, I just want you to tell, the audience, all of us, as to how you got into the sport and how, you've been using sim racing to try and grow this, community that you have.
I mean, first of all, thanks for having me. It's always a pleasure. Like, I watch your podcast and they're super fun.
Thanks, bro.
So, F1 has been a part of my life for a very, very long time. The first time an F1 team came to Mumbai for a show run was back in 2010 or 9, I think. McLaren Mercedes, that was when Lewis Hamilton was racing for them. It was the iconic Vodafone livery.
Lewis was racing for Merc.
McLaren Mercedes.
Achha, okay.
Yeah. So they were McLaren Mercedes. They were one team.
Right.
So this was before they split into different teams.
Yeah.
It was the iconic Vodafone livery that everybody remembers.
Yeah.
So I went to a show run in BKC with one of my cousins, and I saw that car and I heard that car for the first time, and I was like, this. And I used to love cars. I used to like have Hot Wheels all the time. Okay, like every time I used to go out with my parents, I used to buy a Hot Wheels. So I was very much into cars, but I never knew about the sport because, again, the broadcast and all was not very, very popular in India. So when I saw that car, I was like, I need to follow whatever this is. I don't care. I'll just go find out. So I went back home, looked it up, what F1 is, what are the teams, and started watching that season and the races in the past, like historic races and everything. And since then, F1 has been like a very, very close part of my life. And I started sim racing around like 6-7 years ago. It was also a very funny story. Like I used to play NFS and racing games and all of that. And I saw some YouTuber playing it with a wheel, and I was like, how much does this wheel cost? Okay, so I went up and looked online, and it was quite expensive, obviously. So I went and talked to my parents, and they're like, no, right now focus on your studies or whatever.
Yeah.
And then luckily I found this very cool thing, which was OLX. So I went up.
It still existed.
Yeah, it still exists. So I went up and went and looked on OLX, and there's this guy who had bought a wheel like a week ago, and he had gotten a transfer like from work. So he was shifting to Bangalore, and he wanted to leave like 2 days after. So he wanted to get rid of all of these things. So he was selling it for quite a like low price. So I went to his place and like I bargained more, and he's like, just take it. I'll make whatever I can make of it.
Was it just the wheel or the chair? And
No. So it was just like that Logitech wheel pedals basic jo apna rehta hai. And I got a very, very sweet deal out of it, and I brought it home. And this was the money that I had also saved up for a long time. Okay, I didn't get.
How old were you then?
This was I think I was in 9th or 10th.
9th.
Yeah, from all like the birthday envelopes that you get and all that. So it was pretty cheap because he just wanted to get rid of it. So I got very lucky with it. And I bought it home, set it up, and I was hooked. And I used that second-hand wheel for like almost 4 or 5 years before I actually got a proper setup. And yeah, when you talk about sim racing and building a community with it, it's been great because sim racing has brought me so much closer to Formula One than I would have just like as a viewer.
Yeah.
And which is why whenever I talk to someone about F1, or if like I'm meeting someone, like a lot of creators in our space on Instagram or YouTube, whatever, I have actually generally invited them over to my place to try out my rig, and the invitation is open to you as well, obviously, because I want them to experience what sim racing is. Because when people talk about sim racing, they think it's just video games, right?
Yeah.
And it's really not. It's so much more.
Are you saying it's as good as sitting in an F1 car?
I wouldn't,
Similar.
I wouldn't say as good, but it's as close you can get to sitting in an F1 car, is what I would say.
Yeah,
And
like the vibrations and
yeah, it's incredible, and it's hard to put it in words how close you can feel to the actual car. But you can feel there's so many aspects, like the physics. You can feel the loss of grip, where you can get grip, tire wear, damage,
Wow.
aero drag, every bump on the track you can feel.
Oh,
And
shit.
yeah, it's
That's
incredible.
crazy.
It's incredible.
So, when did you actually decide that I can probably make a career out of this? Like, I can be a content creator in an F1 field,
Yeah.
but just out of sim racing. How was that? Like, was there someone who told you that, Aditya, this is what you should try, or it happened on the go?
It did happen in somewhat of that way. So what happened was, before I started, I did Instagram. I used to live stream
Right.
on Twitch, and I think when COVID hit, everybody was locked down. So during that time, a lot of the F1 drivers had started streaming. Charles, George, Lando, and Max, they used to do sim racing, and they used to stream it. They used to do like their own F1 races, and there was a whole virtual F1 series that had happened back then.
In 2020.
In 2020, yeah, because they couldn't go to the actual races, so they actually organized an online race for the drivers to do
With
their setups and everything. So that's when a lot of people started getting into sim racing more, because they were sitting at home, they were getting bored, they wanted to, and they liked the sport, right?
Yeah.
So they saw these drivers do it. So they started getting into Formula One, like games and everything. And that's when I used to stream F1. So because of the streaming, I interacted and connected with a lot of international creators.
Nice.
And they were running this series called the Creator Series. Okay, so Creator Series is basically there's a bunch of YouTubers who create F1 content. A lot of them are official team content creators. So there's guys who are part of the Ferrari esports team. There are guys with like McLaren esports team. So they used to race within that, and because I got in touch with them and used to race with them, they asked me to be part of it.
Interesting.
And I wasn't a YouTuber back then, but when those guys used to make like stream their races or make content out of it, their Indian audience saw an Indian flag on the grid. Okay, because like you have your name, so my name, and then each of the drivers had their country flag next to it. So they saw an Indian flag and they were like, "Who's this guy?
Yeah.
Why do we not know about him?" So then they came and followed me, and then I started, because I was streaming, so they wanted to join my races. So what we ended up doing was, I organized a Formula One league for Indian drivers. So we used to call it Indian Formula Racing.
Nice.
And it was, we ran 2 seasons of it, and full stack grid. We had 20 drivers, all part of like 10 teams to each. And they used to sit, strategize and everything.
It's all virtual.
All virtual. Everybody sitting in their homes in lockdown. Okay. And it turned into such a good thing, because I streamed those races as a commentator. Okay. I used to host the race and I used to commentate on it. And it was incredible, because suddenly I had like 50-60 people watching those guys race, and just these normal guys sitting in their houses. And it was beautiful. So for the next season, we actually got sponsorship for it as well. And I was able to gift an actual wheel to the winner, plus like, money prize and everything. So that's when this whole community thing started. Like I created a Discord, and we were around 300-400 members who were all like part of who used to like racing or watch streamers or race themselves. And then while streaming to these guys only, when the lockdown lifted and everything, the racing started again, the F1 weekend started again. I used to do this thing where before the race, right, I used to simulate a race. Like suppose it's Baku this week, for example, right? So I would take any of the drivers.
Right?
Yeah, which I still do. I take any of the drivers. For example, I would take Leclerc, for example, okay, and I drive as Leclerc, and I drive that race and see where I finish. And then we're like, okay, if I finished here, maybe Leclerc can finish, somewhere here and there.
Crazy.
And that used to be in like my while I was interacting with the chat and everything, so there were a lot of funny interactions that used to happen, like in Hindi, like मैं जहाँ पे दूसरे drivers को कुछ बोल रहा हूँ या कि
Yeah.
like अरे यार मेरे engineers क्या कर रहे हैं,
Right.
because there was like this whole thing where I was driving as Ferrari and my engine died.
Okay.
Mid race, like that happens in the
Which
game.
is
And I was like, how can this happen? And I started screaming.
right.
And then I just took and people said, take this clip and put it on Instagram. And so did my wife. Like, she was also watching some of my streams, and I didn't have an Instagram account then.
Yeah.
I did, but it was private, अलग से account था. So she said कि, you know what, just make a public account, post these clips on it, just ऐसे ही करके. So I started doing this thing, well, Indian driver at.
Okay.
So that was like where those videos started, like Indian driver at Monaco, Indian driver at Baku. And then those started picking off. People started loving that kind of content because they were enjoying it and it was very relatable.
Right.
Because like, yes, that frustration we understand कि ऐसा कुछ करा, and like वो अपनी language में you're expressing.
Yeah.
So that was a very, like, that was a turning point. And then people started, like, those people started following me. They started joining the Discord, and then, you know, that community started turning up. And then in the 2023 season, when it was about to start, I just put out this video, okay, on Instagram, that this is what we are. Okay, I have a Discord community. There's a lot of F1 fans. We talk about Formula One. We play games. We, you know, do these bingos of races and predictions of races on the Discord itself. And I didn't expect it to pick off like that, but I think the next day when I woke up, our Discord had jumped from like 600 members to 2,500 members.
Wow.
Like, it was just, and then I went on Instagram, and that reel was picking up. Everybody was like, okay, send me the Discord, give me the link, let me join. And what used to happen was, on the weekends when there were no races, we used to watch historic races.
Old ones.
So for people who had not watched any of those races, I used to pick these like epic races that were amazing, like that people still remember. So these guys had never watched those races. And I used to, we used to see them together, and I used to keep giving them like, this is what happened, this was like the backstory. So they started loving them, and they started telling their friends, and then more people kept joining. And today we're at like 7,200 members, and not just for Formula One. We watched WEC, IMSA, GT racing. We watched Max's thing at NLS. All of those things.
And all of those you bought it on your gram, right?
Yeah.
Now,
Yes.
which is slowly helped you
Yeah.
build your
Yeah.
you know
Yes.
community. So you're saying you started off by seeing one car and hoping that that is a car that you want, and because it's so beautiful you said let me try and follow what is
Yes.
happening in this spot. From there you went to Discord, Twitch, which is like streaming online.
Yes.
From streaming online, then you moved to creating a few I would say people who want to follow that, want to
Yeah.
enjoy that, and now you have a proper F1 content page,
Definitely, yeah.
which is
It's incredible.
racing and
Yeah.
all of that, which is nice, man. Also want to touch upon the fact, right? Was it initially a little too boring to follow like these long races that are happening? Because I also heard a lot of people say, "Yaar, F1 at a point gets boring because it's a little long race,
Mhm.
and if it was a shorter version,
Yeah.
maybe things would have been a little better."
I mean, I do understand that, but I'm also one of those people that do not watch cricket. So for me, that is what I consider long. But
Yeah.
no, I would say yes, it is long. But the thing is, that depends. So when I'm watching a race, okay, and a lot of the people that I watch races with, we're not just watching the race what's on TV, right? Obviously we're watching that, but we have the live timings open.
Right.
Okay, we're looking at sector wise ki kya times chal rahe hain, who's dropping in pace, who's
Yeah.
picking up the pace,
Yeah.
what are their tires feeling like.
Yeah.
So I feel like there's a lot of us that go into the very technical aspect of the sport as well,
Yeah.
which is why it stays entertaining for us.
Yeah.
And being a sim racer, I understand, that for them 50 laps also might be very short.
Yeah.
At the end of it, they're like, only if I had 2 more laps.
Hmm.
That's how they feel as well. And I've done it because I have done endurance races, right? With so in sim racing again, there's this you can do endurance races. So we form teams of like 2, 3, and then we take part in 6-hour races. Okay, so we start off with one driver, and then after his stint, which is like 1 hour, 1.5 hour, they pit, and the next driver takes control of the car, and then they do their stint.
Is there any tournament for this?
Yeah,
That happens now?
yeah,
There is?
100%. It's almost every week that
Yeah.
it happens. I have the longest I've done was a 24-hour endurance race.
Wow.
4 of us had raced in it, and we had stints based on it. And so you have to drive through the day, through the night, and then back.
Yeah,
it's
which
like-
happens at
yeah, exactly.
Le Mans as well.
Yeah.
But point being, so you're saying that there is an entire sim racing community that also has these championships
Yes,
of things
yes.
where you guys race online.
Yeah.
and it's like proper F1
Proper.
feeling.
I mean, everyone must have heard that Max is a very, very avid fan
Yeah,
of sim racing,
sim
right?
racing, yeah.
And he takes part in all of these 24-hour races and everything,
Correct.
which he did, I think, right before his actual race.
Which is a
He
total
finished his
max
stint, he
behavior.
went into the race, he came back from the race, and then he finished his last stint. So
Yeah.
yeah, that does happen, and it's honestly, it's so incredibly exciting because like F1 again, we have 20 cars on track. Okay,
Yeah.
when it comes to endurance, there's 50 to 60 cars on track,
Yeah.
all driven by real people
Yeah.
in real time.
Yeah.
Okay, with almost same things. You have to take care of strategy, you have to take care of your pit stops, your timings, your fuel calculations, because in those days you have to fuel as well.
Ideally.
And actually, there's actually a very funny and embarrassing story from one of these. Like my first endurance race was. So it was a team of three, and I was given the opportunity to start the race. Okay, and the start is where it is the most difficult
This
because
is a 24-hour bit?
no, this is a 6-hour race.
6-hour race, okay. But you have to take turns.
Yeah.
Okay.
So one driver starts the race, obviously, and that is the most difficult job because there's no gaps. There's 60 cars in 2 lanes on a track, like Spa, for example, right?
Right.
Imagine 60 cars going up your rouge.
Yeah.
Right. It's so scary.
Yeah.
And they don't have tire blankets. So
Okay.
in GT cars, the first lap, your tires are cold. The
Okay.
cars are heavy. Okay, they're completely filled with fuel. So there's like 130 liters of fuel. Okay.
And all this is happening in a sim racing.
This is all virtual.
You're able
This
to
is
get
all
a feel
virtual.
of all of
Yes,
this on a
exactly.
virtual world.
And the lights go out. Okay, green light, and there's 60 cars racing towards the first corner.
60 cars.
It's so scary because you never know what's gonna happen, right?
Yeah.
And one
Even
mistake.
though it's online, you're still scared that you will.
Yeah, definitely. And like those first 3 laps is like where you don't breathe because you're so scared. Like, if I don't want to hit this guy, I don't want to hit that guy, because obviously like these guys have live stewarding as well. There are stewards who are watching the race and they give you penalties if you drive rash or do whatever, all of that stuff. So
I'm also wondering that if you probably can't be an F1 athlete or an F1 driver, why not invest in getting a like a
sim rig.
proper kit
Yeah.
and just have it at your home?
Yeah,
And I think
100%.
you can be part of
100%. You can have you can experience racing while you're sitting in your bedroom.
Wow. That is
So
something.
that was the embarrassing. So this was my first one, okay, and I was so nervous about it, but somehow I managed to, clear the first 2-3 laps. I was driving slow but carefully, and we were in a good place. So out of 50 cars in our category, I think we had started on 28th position.
Yeah.
And by the end of like 3 laps of my stint, we were at 22 or something.
Okay.
And then it was my turn to pit because the next driver had to get in. And what happened was, in GT racing, Spa has a different pit thing than F1. The pit lanes are different. So I didn't remember. I forgot about that, and then I misjudged the pit entry, and I entered it like with a higher speed. So we got a drive-through penalty. उसमें होता है for so basically I couldn't pit. I had to go through the pit lane and then do another lap and then come back. And then I was like, I wasted so much time. This is like, because it's a very long pit lane then.
Yeah.
Because of the different. So my friends were like, no, it's cool. We'll catch up. We'll cover it up later on.
So it's as good as being a proper F1 driver, which is crazy, man. I haven't heard about this before. Because also, see, we speak about esports, right, in India, coming up slowly, and it now being recognized.
Yeah.
They're saying, esports should also be on the Olympics someday.
Correct. Yeah.
Do you think sim racing as a sport will someday, pick up and be 100%. Like a prime time competition of sorts? Yeah. You have like clubs maybe, in it.
100%, because it's already happening. Each F1 team has their own esport team, and they have a championship where all of the drivers are racing each other on the F1 game. But it's not just about F1. Recently, there was this thing called the ESL R1.
Right.
So this happens in Riyadh.
Right.
It's a championship of all sports, and it has one of the biggest prize pools in the world. Okay, so they've got Valorant, they've got CS, they've got
I've heard of that.
And this time they actually had sim racing as well.
Oh.
So they had teams. Max's esport team was racing in it as well, Team Redline.
Do you also want to be there once?
100%. I would love to be there. But again, I feel like the level that those guys are at, they get proper training. So these guys train as much as the physical athletes, because you need to be in very top physical shape to be able to drive a good professional sim rig, because again, my sim rig is like it's a mid-level thing. It's got, so the torque that comes from the wheel itself, So mine's got 9 Newton meter, but these guys use like 16, 20, and it can actually.
I cannot imagine we are speaking about talk and all of
Yeah.
this, but in a
In
virtual
a
world.
virtual world, and it can actually break your fingers and hand.
Oh shit,
It's
that is crazy.
yeah.
So, you also mentioned that this is very expensive. How expensive? If someone who's watching would want to, say, chalo, I'll give it a shot, I'll try.
Yeah.
How much is
So the
range?
entry point is not expensive. Like I said, getting a second hand wheel anywhere, you can get a lot of them now because people are trying out sim racing and then they know they're liking it and they're upgrading to other stuff, right? So there's a lot of people, and in my own Discord, because of how many racers there are, they keep upgrading stuff or buying new stuff. So they keep selling their older stuff to all of the other people in my community. Like, you can have this like for this price, or discounted prices, whatever. So that's also a thing. So I would say, if you want to get into it, like a new wheel and everything, it's around 20 to 30K. But if you're going to get into direct drive racing, the kind of thing that I do, it's probably around 1 lakh is where you
But
would
this
look
is
at
just the wheel or the
the
everything?
whole thing.
Whole
So
rig.
1 lakh would be the rig with the wheel.
Okay.
The 30K I'm talking about is just the wheel that you can mount on like your table here. You put your monitor or PC in front, and then you just start racing.
How easy is this to set up?
The entry level is not hard at all. It's just
Okay.
USB plug and play. The rig and all, it takes it takes about half a day to a day to like build everything, set it up, and calibrate everything to be in the optimal spot where you want.
And now once you're into this, right?
Mm-hmm.
How rewarding is it in terms of the finance of it? Because obviously, a lot of people who get into sports like this, at some point you have to make sure keep you're getting some money out of it. You
Yeah.
have a family, to cater to. Obviously, I'm sure you have like a full-time job as well. But if this had to pay someone, right? Does it pay well? Is there like a good market out there in terms of not only winning a championship, but brands or teams? What is it like?
No, I would say if you're good at it and you're racing in a very high level of this thing. So even with the virtual thing, here's another thing that you'll be surprised at. Even with the virtual teams and drivers there are, brands pay to get their brand on their virtual cars livery.
Virtual cars livery.
So if I am a very top level esports driver, right, and I have my car, okay,
Right.
so I can get sponsored by companies like Moza or
But where does that go on your stream?
Yeah, it's so when it's a championship, my car is obviously being broadcast into the championship, right?
Yeah.
So people are seeing my car in a spectator. They're not seeing it from the inside.
Right.
So if a brand's paying, if I'm leading that championship, if I'm racing for top positions, if I'm winning everything, and you as a brand get to have your name on the car that I'm running in the virtual race as well. So yes, brands pay for that, but then again, you have to be at like that level, and that's only like the top 5%. Yeah. As a enthusiast and casual racer, I think it's probably only a hobby.
Right.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, but also because Formula One is picking up right now, MotoGP, for example, is also slowly, coming into the scene. Do you think at least being invested in the content creation side of it will slowly get you maybe a few brand deals or,
Depends on the kind of content, honestly, that you're doing.
Okay.
Because again, because of the growth of Formula One and motorsports in general in India, there's a lot of people that have started creating F1 content. Again, because it's hip, it's new, everybody loves it.
Everyone wants to be there. Why?
It's style, colors. The drivers have like these personalities.
Yeah.
So yes, people want to tap into it, but then again, I feel like there are so many more creators in Formula One that are making very, very generic and average content, which I could see the same content being posted by at least 5 channels or like 5 creators. So yes, if you do, it's a very good time to be part of this niche and be a good creator in this niche, but you have to be a little bit different and unique and bring your value. Like, why would I watch you? If I can, there are people, F1's own channel explains Formula One, right?
Yeah.
Why would I watch someone else who's just started watching Formula One explain Formula One to me? Because I know for a fact they're using ChatGPT, right?
Yeah.
And I can see it in so many, because there are very, very blatant and obvious mistakes in a lot of content that comes out these days. Okay?
Yeah.
And I am someone who's like, I don't, if I see something, I'll straight up
say
if it's not public in their comments, I would just reach out to them in DMs like, dude, this is something that that was not correct or accurate. Like maybe you should just proof check it, because I wouldn't want them also to be getting hate or backlash or flack about like you can't make content or whatever. That's fine, because I encourage people to make content and create things about Formula One, just because it helps grow the sport, right?
That's true.
And yes, purists say like DTS we don't like DTS fans. Why are you? DTS is why we are talking about Formula One right now.
That's true. That's
So I feel like I don't want to gatekeep anything. I want more people to be interested in the sport and more people to be, interacting with each other, but maybe in in the right way, not
Yeah.
just like
So,
things off
so
into
you're saying that you're currently into content creation, but you're okay if it doesn't pay you. You're doing it because it's your hobby
Yes.
and you want to grow the
Yes.
sport.
My whole thing with content creation was to, like I said, build the community, because I grew up watching Formula One alone and having nobody to talk about. Everybody in school used to talk about cricket and Manchester United and Chelsea. I was like, do you guys watch Formula One? I'm like, what? So yeah, finally having people to talk to Formula One and share that passion with has been like,
I can understand, man. From where you're
it's
coming.
unbelievable for me. Yeah, it's a complete shift for me.
Because if I talk to, like a game happens, say like a football game or a cricket game has happened, you want to share and just
Yes.
exchange opinions with someone.
Yeah.
And I think for a sport that is actually very big in terms of the money, but there's no one for you to exchange views, it just feels like, who do I speak to about?
Yes, exactly.
And now that you have it with you,
Yeah.
I think I understand from where you're also
Yeah.
coming. Tell me how difficult is it to convince people to watch the sport if they've not watched Drive to Survive?
Yeah.
If they're freshly new into it,
Yeah.
because obviously I got into the sport because of Drive to Survive, and I'm out there. I'm like, you can say whatever you want.
Yeah.
I understand F1 was there from a long time. I got into it about 2-3 years back because of Drive to Survive. But if you had to explain to someone or ask someone, this is why you should watch the sport.
I feel like again, like for an outsider who has not watched Formula One, it's just cars, right?
Yeah.
Which is something that DTS helped a lot. It showed the driver behind the helmet.
That's true.
I think that's what connected people to the sport.
Yeah.
If it was just about cars and like documentaries of the races, I don't think it would have picked up so much. So I feel like just telling people about the history of a driver. If I tell someone about the kind of struggles Lewis had, from childhood to becoming what he is right now, like one of the legends of the sport.
Yeah.
That's what will click with people. That's what relates. Like, it's not the car, it's not the speed, it's not the racing. It's the people that are in the sport, behind those helmets, in those cockpits, that connect people to the sport. So that is something that I would firstly, try to be like, what, let me tell you about this guy. Okay.
Right.
Like, this is him. And then again, talk about, like, for example, Charles, if I want to, like, Charles is also like, he's got a great history.
Yeah.
Yeah, coming in as a rookie and like his early years. So I think that's something that helps bring people. And again, if you talk about Max as an athlete to anybody, right, that he's not, when someone says that F1 is not just an F1 driver, and people still make that joke, he's a sim racer who's doing F1 as a hobby.
Yeah.
So explaining that this guy does multiple forms of racing, he's good at everything.
Yeah.
Okay, and then he's just instantly people are like, I want to watch who this person is.
And because you're saying people would relate with a lot of people, is there someone who you've related with, someone's story that has hit home for you in terms of saying that, yeah man, like this is the driver I like. Obviously there's Hamilton, there's Max, there's Sainz and all of these guys, but anyone's story that has been with you or you relate to?
I would say Lando has been like one of my, like, since I've started watching Formula One,
Right.
I've always been like a McLaren fan because that was the first car I saw. My brother worked at McLaren, so I was able to visit the McLaren technology center and see Senna's car, Hunt's car, McLaren's trophy wall, and it was like such a surreal experience for me that I think for me, I'm always going to be a McLaren fan, regardless of who's driving for it.
Right.
For them and who's in the team, whether they're losing, they're winning. And we've had a bad run, okay? For a long time. Finally, we're winning and like we're dominating. So I love it. But yes, I've been a McLaren fan forever and I always will be. So when Lando came into the team, as a young driver, I was following his early career as well. I used to watch him in the previous season and he was a great driver. And he was like, he also used to stream, right? He used to stream Call of Duty and all of this. So I used to watch those streams as well. So I felt very connected with him, that this guy is like someone who has passion for Formula One, but also for video games and all of that, which was something that I related with a lot.
Yeah.
So yes, he's been like a big thing for me, just watching him come into the sport, sticking with the team, like not losing hope.
Yeah.
He was in McLaren when McLaren was bottom a tier, right? Like they were finishing 18th, 19th, and they were struggling to score points. And yeah, now now they're at a place, and he's stuck with them until they're in a place where they're the most dominant car, and like people talk about them being an illegal car.
Yeah.
So yes, he's gotten a bit of an ego now. He's started showing some, he's shit talked a lot of drivers. I agree, and it's not right. I get that as well. But yeah, his early stages and his trajectory has been like very close to my heart.
There are a lot of people who also say that people are right now following F1 in India because it's more like a popular sport.
Yes.
Or it's more like a pop culture sport
Mhm.
that is bringing a lot of style, elegance, and etc. etc. From my perspective, I think to each their own, right?
Yeah.
Which is great.
Hmm.
If there is someone who follows a sport because of style, because of cars, because of XYZ,
Yeah.
it's great. It's
Yeah.
great for the sport as well. And there are some Formula One fans who will say, bro, you're not a, you're a
purists.
DTS fan,
Yeah.
and you don't know the history, geography of.
Huh.
Is it important to know these things to just fall in love with this sport?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. It definitely enhances your experience of watching the races, but it in no way makes you a less of a fan than the purist. Yes, I can learn all about engines, I can learn about the cars, I can learn about aerodynamics, but that's not gonna, make me a better Formula One fan, right?
Yeah.
Like it's about the passion you have for the sport, it's the passion you have for the drivers. Because I myself, like when there are moments in Formula One where I don't care if I know anything about the car, but if you see a driver pull something off that was not possible,
Yeah.
instantly you feel that emotional connect, right? Like for example, all of us, regardless of what team we supported, when we heard that Ricardo was getting sacked, he was not coming back into the sport, everybody felt like sad about it.
Definitely.
That we're not going to see that smile ever in Formula One.
Yeah, that character himself
Yeah,
was.
so that had nothing to do with people knowing about the technical knowledge. And honestly, I would say to those people, like what I'm saying, you need to know about. Why not tell them? Just tell your friends, tell people who don't know about it, like why, what's working out. Instead of just being like, you don't know this, don't watch it.
Yeah.
Be like, you know what, if you knew about this is something that's also like, because I find myself doing that a lot, okay? Like, especially when it comes to Formula One or like any sort of motorsport, I instantly feel like I'm, one of those guys where like, if I start giving you extra information without you asking for me. It might be annoying to some people, right?
Yeah,
But I love sharing stories that they might find interesting, but they wouldn't know about.
Yeah, very very interesting on that front as well. But I was also coming to a point that now, because you're doing sim racing, right? Is there a way for people to get into it like a hobby for them? Like, you would want to go to places, to a mall, and just go and probably drive one car. You would want to go, to, how you have like a meetup kind of sort. You also probably would want to go to a place which is now in Bombay, you have somewhere where you can go, for a go-kart ride.
Right.
Which is different to driving a normal Formula One car. But sim racing, for example, is there any meetup hubs anywhere of that sort where people can just go and take an experience for an hour of?
Yes, there is. There's a lot of gaming cafes that have started setting up these basic simulators, like where they put the Logitech Week, the entry level stuff that I was talking about. But if you want to experience high level stuff, like high end stuff, there's this one place in Andheri West. It's called Parabolica.
Okay.
It's run by this guy Pratik, who I also recently met, and so he's got a very good wheel system, like with motion and everything, that you can try out and experience. I would still say that it's still a little bit lacking,
Right.
because when I went and tried it out, I gave him a lot of feedback on it, because I have raced for like 6 years, right? I drive. But yes, I did share that with him, whatever feedback I had, and he said he'll look into it, and but I still feel like that's also one of those part where he has like very limited amount of those things where you can try out, yes.
Yeah.
But I would want something like, I want Mumbai, because other cities do have it. I want Mumbai to have this place where it's not just like this one demo thing that you can try out.
Yeah.
I want it to be an experience. Like, I go karting with like 8 friends of mine, right? I would want to go racing with 8 of my friends. Okay, I want to be racing in Spa with them.
Yeah.
In F1 cars. So that's an experience that I would love to have in the city. And the best part is it's cheaper. Karting gets expensive, right?
Yeah.
Like for like 5 minutes you have to pay 800 rupees, or 10 minutes you have to pay 800 rupees. It gets expensive. You can't do it in the rain. You get wet. There's dirt. all of that. You have to travel a lot.
That's true.
So yeah, it's a very safe. Kids can do it. Adults can do it.
It's very interesting to me that, when I first called you on the show, I thought we'll only, probably see how sim racing is helping you get to F1 and, sim racing something that you've started building your community with.
Yeah.
But now that it's giving me an understanding that sim racing is as good as driving an F1 car, at least giving me that experience.
Yeah.
And so to say that there are championships, there are a lot of people invested in it, there's an entire community, and probably if I invest in 2x the price of a PlayStation,
Yeah.
I think I will be able to get that gear.
For sure. Yeah.
And try and have it for myself. How do you go about making content for this? Like, how do you plan that if there is no race week that's happening? How do you try and plan and say, okay, this is what I'm going to do,
Right.
or this is how my audience will like this? What is that thought that you put behind it?
So again, whenever there's no race weekends, like obviously it's difficult because whenever there's a race weekend, it's very clear as to what you can do, right? You can make a track guide on the track.
That's correct.
You can do like a preview of that and then after post race you can do. But when there are no videos, I personally have recently started doing this thing where I try to make videos where it still gives information about F1 or like good whatever's happening around the season, right? Like recently we've had the video that I put out yesterday. Right now we've had a discussion or debate going on whether McLaren has been doing that team orders thing or
First
whatever,
time.
and it's a team battle, right? It's they're fighting for the championship.
Papaya rules.
Yeah, I was like, everybody's talking about it, so why not tell them about like teammate rivalries that actually existed? Right. So I just did like top 3 teammate rivalries to exist. So obviously one of them was Lewis and Nico.
Yeah.
And then there was Senna and Prost.
Right.
And Weber and Vettel. So I was like, you know what, people might enjoy this because it's still relatable to what's going on in the current season.
Yeah.
But it's something that has happened in the previous season. This is what they can compare the current battle to.
Yeah.
For the entire rest of the season. It's not just the next race weekend. They can carry this information with the rest of the season.
Yeah.
So something like that. Or then otherwise I would like, try to do like a entertainment based reel.
Yeah.
Something to do with sim racing or whatever. Because again, from what I've understood the algorithm by now, and you need to keep doing that. You can't just be all info, stats, tech, info, stats,
mix
tech.
of everything.
You have to mix a little bit of like, entertainment every now and then, because then it keeps it fresh for people as well, right? Like, yaar, kya roz paka raha hai? So it helps a lot having that. And then again, luckily we do have things in between, right? Like we have MotoGP, for example. Sometimes we have our WEC series. Last weekend we had Max racing at NLS. So that I think that worked really well last week when everybody was like, oh, Max is racing in NLS. Nobody knows what NLS is. Okay, nobody knows what Notch Life is.
Yeah.
I was like, let me tell people, it's one of my favorite tracks. It's my most driven track. Like if I'm on the sim, half the time you'll find me on the Notch Life. Okay, because of how difficult it is to master it and how like it's just crazy. It's not called the green hell for no reason. So I was like, you know what? I know this. Let me share this with the people, right? So I just made a video talking about, okay, Max is racing here, but this is what this series is. There are drivers who are like amateurs, pros. You can have like these insane GT3 cars as well as like these tiny hatchbacks racing on the same track at the same time.
Yeah.
And it's one of the most difficult tracks. It's got 170 corners.
Right.
So being able to drive one lap on this track is already an accomplishment.
Yeah.
So just telling how the depth of how important Max showing up there is, and it just took off. I got like 1,500 more people on the Discord just to talk about it and watch it together.
And this community that you build right now, would you say it's a very supportive community? Because I've known of people who are doing making content out there, but still get a lot of flack for it.
Yeah.
So you have a pretty decent amount of people following F1 in India, still hooked on to what you're doing.
Yes.
So do you think there's enough support?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of support, probably because the kind of content I do and the kind of interaction that I have with them, it's not just here I'm giving you info.
Yeah.
And that's it, right? It's mostly like, come join me and talk to me about it. If you want someone to watch F1 with, come join the Discord. And it's not like I keep myself separate. It's not just through text, right? Because there's a lot of creators these days who have their like Instagram as broadcast channels, right?
Yeah.
So every day they'll put like one post and people react to it and they're like,
Yeah.
oh, interaction ho gaya.
Correct.
I sit in voice channels with everybody in my Discord, right?
Wow.
Like when there's race weekends, I just sit when we just talk. You know,
Yeah.
people ask me questions कि ये कैसे होता है, ये क्यों ऐसा है,
Right.
and I have nothing to hide. Like obviously, why would I gatekeep anything?
Yeah.
And I keep getting asked like the same question also multiple times, but I always answer it because like if you have it, you need information and I'm able to give it to them, then yeah. And the coolest thing, the funniest thing is there's a lot of young people that are getting into the
Gen
sport,
Z?
and yeah, and they are joining my Discord, okay?
Yeah.
And they have like a way of talking. Okay, they use certain words,
Yeah.
obviously, which are not very appropriate at
Right.
times.
Right.
So I'm not saying like I'm schooling them or whatever, but I get a chance to like talk to them about how that's not cool, you know,
Right.
talking about that.
Right.
And then there are some who just like leave the Discord. They're like, "Aisa kaisa bola?" But there are some like, "Oh, I'll keep it in mind." Okay, and then like I see that change in there. Like some come in talking like Max is the king, and they start abusing other drivers, right? And then I'm like, no, each driver has done a lot to get where they are. Respect them, you know, talk.
Yeah.
It's fine. Rivalries are okay.
Yeah.
But stop disrespecting and, you know, humiliating fans of those drivers, right?
Yeah.
Like if I'm a Lando fan, okay, and if my driver crashes out or whatever, people are like, oh, this, like, you're just a whatever. They start talking random stuff. So it's just that aspect of it where I can, you know, me and like a couple of my friends also who help me manage the Discord. So we talk about these things also on the Discord. So it kind of helps, you know, formulate that entire fan base into better fans, I would say.
Is there anything about you that your community currently doesn't know? With the kind of person you are, the kind of personality
No.
which you haven't put out on the
No,
graph.
honestly, no, because it's very transparent with me. Yeah. And it, not just because, see, I can get it when people are making content on Instagram, right? They can have like a very different personality.
Yeah.
But I do live streams, right? I can't change who I am when it's a live
That's
stream.
true.
It's just
That's
live
true.
reactions, live everything, and it's very, very transparent with them. I talk about everything on the live streams.
Yeah.
And it's very open-ended. Like I don't treat them as like my audience viewers. I talk to them, all of them, as like their friends.
Yeah. So for all, right, to mention it to our viewers as well, I think we've established the fact that you're doing racing right now. It is a hobby for you. Maybe you're not making enough out of that, but you're okay with that right now because it's part of something that you like.
Yeah.
And eventually, if it does scale, obviously brands will come on board. Yeah, you know, for you as well. Want to understand also from you, where do you see this going? Do you want to build it into something that at least eventually probably takes you to a race, or eventually that at least gives you some, you know, revenue as well? Because I'm coming from a point if there's someone watching
fair.
and wants to join.
Obviously, I think all of our end goals are to be at a race.
Yeah.
Definitely, I want to make that happen for sure.
Have you ever?
I have not.
Never,
No,
never, not even.
unfortunately, no. I wasn't able to go to the Indian ones as well because
If you
I was
get
in school and मेरा boards था तभी.
Acha, if you do get a chance, tell him to give you 3 tickets.
100%.
One for me and the other one, obviously you take your wife.
Yeah. So definitely, I think that's the end goal. But the journey is very important. Obviously, you have to like build like when. It's been crazy because again, my wife is like a very well-established TV actress, right? So
Right.
All my growing up, I've seen how people look up to her and like come up to her to ask for pictures or, you know, just like to interact with her. And recently that has started happening with me in like F1 screenings, or if I go to like, you know, an F1 screening or like some place where there are Formula 1 fans, they come up or like, you know, ask me for a picture or just to talk to me and like ask me what's your favorite team and all of that. And I love doing all of that. But it's such a surreal feeling. I feel like, you know, it's like an out of body experience.
Yeah.
Like I don't believe it that it's happening to me, but it is happening to me, and I would love to see that get in a place where I can help you know, gain traction for this community, right? I don't want it just to be like my growth.
Yeah.
I want it to be a growth of the entire community, like, you know, as a whole F1 space. And there's a lot of F1. So I have also noticed like there's a lot of hostility a lot of time between content creators. Like, कि, like तूने भी इस topic पे content कैसे बनाया? Are you copying my thing? ये इधर उधर.
Right.
But and like your content is not up to the mark, and like they have these things in their heads. But for me, I have honestly, ever since I've started doing this, and I was very late to the party. Okay, like a lot of these content.
So before you also go there, let me just stop and ask you, in case if that happens, in case if you feel or someone tells you, bro, you've copied my stuff.
Yeah.
if it has happened with you or if you've seen of, how do you deal with something of that sort? Because it's the same space, you're in the same niche, and there are 10 people who could pick up the same topic and do what you're doing.
Nothing. Actually, that has happened to me where people have been like, "Oh, you just made a video on the same topic." I was like, "Okay."
How does it matter?
So he's like, "No, but I made the video first." I was like, "Yeah, but you got your information from the actual sport, so it actually happened in the sport, right?"
Right.
For example, like when this thing came out, like Bottas had a video where he was like, "Is that a Cadillac? Is that a seat?" There was this whole thing, right?
Yeah.
And everybody was using that clip to make a video out of it, and so did I. So there were people like, "Oh, you use my clip." I was like, "No, this is from Bottas's Twitter or whatever."
Fair.
I just added text to it.
Right.
Okay, and there have been times where people have literally used my videos, okay, with that same text, nothing changed, and just posted them on their page, changing the music, okay. And even I even commented on their videos. They were like, looks familiar. It's very fun. It's just content. Like you can't own content at this point, right? Unless you like trademark. It's Instagram. It's social media, and this is all public news. It's not like I have been specially informed by Bottas कि मैं ऐसा कर रहा हूँ. No,
that's true.
It's public. Anybody can use the same content, same kind of info. It's what you do with that information, right?
That's correct.
So I feel like that's fair. People can say what they want, but like I was saying, I was very late, so there's a lot of content creators that was already there and they had their groups or whatever. But when I came into this space, I started like, other creators started following me, and then I reached out to them and spoke with them about their experience. I asked them where they go for F1 screenings and all that. I met them, and then recently it's turned into this thing like where I meet a lot of them in F1 screenings, and I've also invited them over to my house, like because again, like they keep asking me about sim racing because that's also very new to all of them, right? They make F1 content, they watch races, but they also don't know what sim racing is. So they always used to ask me about it. So I think last month I actually invited like 6 or 7 of them. I'm like, come over to my house, we'll have dinner, you can try out my sim, see what sim racing is, we'll talk about it, we'll play some games and all. And it was amazing. We like ended up talking about Formula 1 and just all of that till like 3, 4 a.m. and it was a very nice fun evening. And yeah, I would love to like just keep growing that,
because you mentioned this as well, right? That there's a small community, you can come together and all. I've heard a lot of people say that the F1 community as such, or F1 fans as such, are a very close group. Like they don't allow the newbies to get into it easily. I'm not sure of the new ones, but at least the old ones, which are little, kind of rigid behavior, sort of, yaar, tu kya janta types. Like I mentioned, has that been changing over time?
Yes.
With new creators like you?
Definitely. People have been like more and more accepting. There's a lot of people in my own community.
But why is there no acceptance? Wasn't there any acceptance?
I honestly don't get it.
Right.
I honestly don't get it because I think it's also to do with a lot of DTS presentation of the drivers and their fan bases.
Yeah.
Which caused a lot of like, again, the whole 2021 thing that happened with Max and Lewis. They probably didn't talk about it as much as the fans did on Twitter, right? And it kept going on for months. It still goes on, that whole thing.
I will bring it up, bro.
So I mean, I understand, and I get it. If you're a Lewis fan, obviously you were hurt. You've watched that man struggle for not struggle, dominate, but that season has been difficult for him, and like doing what he's been able to achieve in the sport doesn't come easy.
Yeah.
Regardless of whether you have a good car or not. Let me just put it that way.
That's
okay. True. So yeah, obviously the fans felt hurt, but because of that whole thing where I would say around that time it was 60% of the fan base was Lewis fans or Max fans. Other drivers had like small fan bases. It was just Lewis versus Max, right? Yeah. And because of that, a lot of communities were concentrated with Lewis fans or Max fans, vice versa. And when people started to get in, they kept getting shut down whenever they spoke something nice about their driver or tried to support their driver, which also in turn resulted in like I don't want to talk to these guys. Like if they're only gonna diss my driver and not respect and just throw hate and shade on him, then why would I bother?
That's true.
So yeah, just having that acceptance, right? Like even if you're a Lance Stroll, you love Formula 1, you watch the sport, you're okay in my books. That's what I have with me.
What do you think about the Indian F1 community now in terms of also? I think we have a new league that's come out.
IRL.
IRL, right? Do you think there will be more of those that will come? Do you think India will be ready to accept this sport being played here with these new cars? Because I'm not sure how much. Obviously, it's great to have superstar backing for this, but will it explode in the next few years?
I think it will, but I think there are certain things that need to take care of, they need to do
Like?
differently. For example, like having superstars, yes, is great. You own a team. But the kind of coverage that they are showcasing, like a superstar posting about it to his like 20 million fans, doesn't matter as much as a creator in that space posting it to his 50,000 followers. You know, so
Right.
if you're there are a lot of times where these guys like brands or organizers invite big creators like YouTubers, for example,
Yeah.
who have millions of subscribers, right? To cover their show. But the thing is, these guys, they take pictures, they talk whatever, but they do not, the audience that they're sharing it with is not an audience that is anyways interested. They just want to see that their YouTuber experience that. Maybe a few of them would.
Yeah.
But if they get like a bunch of smaller creators who have their own, communities who are interested in racing, in sports, like motorsports, having them on board or like, experiencing that a race in India, like that's what's crazy to me, that we're having a street race in Goa.
Yeah.
And none of us creators are like involved in any part of it, when we are the ones that are creating these communities and this pushing racing to the audience, right?
Yeah.
So not having any of the team, like not even one, and it's not like they need to reach out. I have reached out to them,
Okay.
which is the crazy. Like I've literally sent messages to all of the teams, and they're like, whoever's involved.
Yeah.
But we've gotten no response whatsoever.
Yeah.
We were invited for the drafting that was done
Right.
in Mumbai,
I think
in
it was.
Taj. So some of us had gone.
Yeah.
Even there, we kept telling, please, let us experience the race. Let us see what the pit lanes are. Talk to the drivers, the garages. We won't get all into it. Obviously, we'll respect the space because it's a race after all. But having a little bit of time with the drivers or the team or just the engineers itself would really help. Push racing
Definitely.
and motorsports as a thing in India.
Definitely.
But yeah, I just hope that one of them realizes, ki, you know what? Let's bring a couple of them on and let's see what happens.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how important do you think it would be for someone to understand the mechanics of a car just to enjoy the sport?
I would say around a 6.
It's like
6.
you're saying it's a 50-50 sort of.
Yeah, 50-50.
Not
Yes.
not
Not
really.
100% necessary, but you would enjoy it more if you knew more about the car.
Yeah. Why so?
Like it can tell you the differences. Like people are saying Ferrari is slow,
Yeah.
McLarens are fast. Why?
Yeah.
Or like forget Ferrari, they have different engines, right?
Yeah.
Let's take McLaren and Mercedes, for example.
Yeah.
They have the same engine.
Yeah.
Why are they, at such different gaps?
Right.
It's because of the aerodynamics that come into play
Correct.
with the car, right?
Correct.
And just understing that little bit.
A little bit of education.
Just a little bit. Yeah, you don't have to go into like very technical aspects and the specs of it. Just like the over the top things.
Yeah.
Which is actually very, very well explained in F1's own. They have this thing called the Tech Talk, which is on their own YouTube channel.
Right.
So they do it with like practical examples. Okay, so like they take models, small cars, and they show examples of like how that works.
Yeah.
It really helps.
They also say a lot of mental strength is required in F1. If you could, kind of break that down for us, because obviously, there is a lot of training and everything that goes into it.
Yeah.
But mental strength for someone who has to drive.
Yeah.
If you can, bring a little bit light to it.
Yeah, I mean, I think two of the most important things in racing, whether it be F1 or GT, IRL, sim racing even, is consistency.
Yeah.
And perseverance. Like consistency is like you need to be able to do the same thing lap after lap after lap after lap. Okay.
Yeah.
And which is also like a lot of inspiration I draw from in like my personal life as well. Like you can have a motivation or passion to do anything.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything you think about it, but unless you have the consistency,
yeah,
none of that matters.
That's true.
If I'm motivated to make content, if I'm not doing it consistently, it doesn't matter.
Right.
Like right now, I'm trying to push at least 4 to 5 videos a week.
Right.
And not just like dalna hai dal diya. Think about it and being able to put that amount of effort consistently over the entire week.
Interesting.
That is what helps, same with Formula 1. That kind of mental strength is needed because even if they're losing, right, you can't just be like, you know what, abhi main aaram se chalata hu thoda.
Right.
As a driver, you're one of the top 20 athletes in the world who get to drive these cars. You know, you have that on your shoulders already.
That's true.
Like you're the elite, right? So having that constantly on your shoulders, and then having like you need to walk away from a race knowing that you gave your best.
Right.
You know, what happens in the race is maybe out of your control, but walking out of that car and being able to say that I gave it all I had, you know, that is very, very important. And that's what happens with most drivers. Like, again, like with, if you're leading, you have the mental you know, you need to have the strength to be able to deal with that pressure. That if you make one mistake, you might lose out on the entire championship. One race, one mistake can make you lose an entire championship.
Yeah.
And the same goes for the back marker. Even if you're at the back of the grid, you feel like people think I'm the worst on the grid.
Yeah.
You know, so from like the bottom to the top,
Yeah.
everybody has a different kind of mental pressure in their.
And you know, if this really doesn't kick off as a career for someone, do you think like something which is similar like to an IRL, if say there's an esports kind of a league that comes out tomorrow for this in India,
Yeah.
would that also give you know, maybe IRL a really good push to go, you
Yeah.
know, somewhere
Yeah,
front?
for sure, for sure. I mean, honestly, in my own community, if, for example, like a lot of these tracks, you know, they hire people to create that track in virtual this thing.
Makes
Okay.
sense.
And there's this one guy I know that actually has made a few Chennai tracks in the
Wow.
virtual thing. So Kari Motor Speedway and you know, a bunch of Madras International. You can actually drive them in the simulators.
Wow.
So getting someone to create these tracks, and
It's
you
not
know,
diffi-
it's not
difficult.
out of this thing, right?
Yeah.
You can actually do that. And if they do that and, like, you know, create an esports thing around it, my own community, I would be able to fill that entire grid with people from my community, right? So that is something that can be done, of course. But
So sitting somewhere in Bombay doing like a sim racing, I could be driving on a track that is somewhere, maybe the Budh circuit, maybe
Yeah.
somewhere in Chennai,
Yeah.
maybe somewhere in Goa
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
And obviously if the Formula One tracks come in, I could, you know, be there,
Yeah.
which is giving you a close experience to what
it's as
it
close
is.
as you can. A lot of teams, for example, have their test drivers back at the factories, you know,
Right.
testing setups for the team. So that's very important because a lot of those setups you can actually use in real life. Those
Yeah.
cars have like physics systems, just suspensions, you know, you change the front wing angle, rear wing angle, ride heights, and all of that matters for the race. So you can do all of that in the simulator, you know, set up your car. Actually, yes, this last weekend, there was this thing called Race Wars, okay? Which is an event that happens at Budh.
Okay.
Where a lot of people bring their cars, drive around, they give tourist laps to other people.
When you mean what do you mean by their cars? Like a normal car?
Yeah, normal car, or if you've like modded your car. So a lot of guys who've got sports cars or, you know, faster cars, they bring their cars to the track.
Okay.
And they drive it. And then as a spectator, if you go there, there's like a pass you can get, which is like a 2,000 rupees pass.
Okay.
You can actually sit as a passenger in any one of those guys' cars, okay?
Wow.
Yeah, and that's, nobody even knows about all of this stuff, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of couple of guys who were driving there were actually part of my community, right? So they took their cars there to drive. So all of these guys practiced on their simulators a couple of days before.
Okay.
And then they went to the track
On the
to
Budh
drive there.
circuit as
Yeah.
to how it is.
Yeah.
Then you
So
take
they
your
knew
own
everything because of the simulator. They knew exactly where what corner was, where you need to take speed into it, and all of that. And they just went in and started sending it.
Wow.
So yeah,
That's
it
crazy.
definitely helps. And I'm talking about like F1, of course, they have like huge crazy simulators that they test in. But this is,
Yeah.
I'm talking about like home simulators that they practiced in, and then they went to the track and started
It's
racing.
crazy, man. It's a different community as well.
It's
I'm a huge sucker for, you know, like motivation, huge sucker for you know, leadership, life lessons, anything that you've learned from you know, your entire journey
Yeah.
doing sim racing,
Yeah.
meeting a lot of people,
Mhm.
from players for that matter, the F1 circuit as a whole.
Yeah.
You know, anything that you'd like to share?
I mean, again, like I said earlier, consistency is definitely up there, but I would also say accepting failures. Right. With me, for example, like I said, with the whole sim racing thing and a lot of things in life, there have been times where I felt like I have made mistakes which have resulted in, you know, something not working out or a loss in a race. Like I've made one mistake, cost me a win.
Right.
Okay. I could just like beat myself about it that I'm not good enough, you know, or just take that information, that knowledge, whatever you learn from that experience and take it to the next one.
Right.
You know, and then just learn from those experiences. So that's what I would say. Like, just don't accept your failures as like the breaking point, or like if something's not working now, doesn't mean it's not gonna work like 2 years down the line. Like what
Yeah.
happened with me, for example, I was streaming to like 6-7 people back then, and yeah, my initial
Things changed.
Instagram videos were like doing 100-200 views. So but I kept going on. You keep putting it out there, keep putting yourself out there, you know, your content out there, and do not compromise on the amount of effort you put into it.
Yeah.
right? You can't be like कि अच्छा नहीं चल रहा है, so let me just make थोड़ा
Yeah.
कैसा भी वीडियो बना लेते हैं, we'll see if it works or not.
Hmm.
No, don't wait to make good content till you start getting like followers, like right?
Yeah.
You need to
You
start
start
making
making good
content,
content.
good content. That's when you get the followers.
Yeah.
And for most people, like in our creator space, I would say like just don't chase for like virals.
Likes. Yeah.
You know, you don't need to get viral. Give value.
Yeah.
You know, giving value is, I've noticed like there are reels of mine that have hit 4 million, 5 million views, okay? And there are reels that have done like 100K, 200K. I have gotten much more following out of the 100, 200K because I provided something of value, you
Yeah.
know? And those guys have been like part of the Discord, part of it, interactions that I've had. They've met me on screenings, they've come for screenings. So I feel like that is when I realize, you know, I can make videos that are hitting like 50, 60 million views, okay? But those numbers are only what the brands will see, right? But what I'm actually getting out of this, you know, process of giving out knowledge or like value of what I can do, which I don't think anybody else can in our space, gives me that, you know, even if I get like 2 people, you know, dedicated people who are legit into this and they appreciate the content I do and like they want to talk to me about it, that's a much bigger win for me.
That's true.
Right? So I feel like that's important for people to understand when they are creating content, because I've seen a lot of people making very, very low effort content.
Yeah.
Okay. And doing exactly what everybody else is doing.
Yeah.
When I know that they can do better,
Correct.
you know, but they're like, but इसमें views आते हैं. Okay, and that's when I'm like, ठीक है, तुम करो वो, okay, you can do that, do whatever brings you views, because that's gonna get you to brands, obviously.
Yeah.
But please try to do a little bit of little bit of things or like some kind of content where it's only you who can provide that,
Right.
and you know, and brings your value into this space.
Yeah. So would you also, you know, from what I gauge from what you're saying is that you're telling creators in the F1 space to not run behind likes,
Yeah.
but to try and, you know, provide some kind of value,
Yeah.
you know, something that the audience can take. When it comes to value, right, what is, you know, what is the definition of success for you?
In terms of like what I'm doing right now?
What you're doing right now in life in general, you know, something that people can take away from you. What has success meant to you always? Or maybe success has changed for you right now?
Success has definitely changed for me right now, because earlier again, like when I was doing a job and everything, it was different. Like I wanted to be able to support my family, you know,
That's true.
like plan things about. It was a very different kind of like when back then when I thought about like my 5-year plan, you know, how people do it was about, you know, a place to stay, you know, good house, help, enough amount to travel and all of that. But now, apart from all of that, it also comes with like, you know, being able to build something out of what I'm doing right now, being able to help something grow in the space and like in this country, like give my value to something. And there have been a lot of times where people have come and reached out to me and they just needed to talk to me about advice. They're like, I want to do this.
Yeah.
Okay, can you just tell me how it works or like, you know, what, and I give you a consultation fee. I'm like, I don't want any of that. Okay, like I'll just give my knowledge for free. Okay,
That's
I don't care. You know, if you're looking to build something in this space, I'm all for it. I'm like full 100% behind you, and I'm gonna support you through it. Right, and yeah, that has definitely changed my perspective. But recently in my own content creation space, I actually recently signed with Stake News India.
Okay.
Yeah, so for me, that was like a big moment where I realized, okay, the kind of content and my numbers are like, even my followers are not as big as some of the other F1 creators out there. But seeing that they valued the kind of content I made, the production value, and you know, that the way you tell these things is, you know, very high quality and all of that.
That's true.
That really helped build my confidence. Okay, what I'm doing is on the right path.
Yeah.
I just need to like take it further and further and keep improving upon this.
Yeah.
You know. So yeah, that definitely was a good boost for me, where they're like, you know what, we'll get you on board. And again, stake is something that's involved in F1 as well, so having that part really helps. And yeah, we'll see till when it goes.
So it's always something that will keep changing. You'll always keep looking at
as it keeps evolving, because this space is evolving very fast.
Do you have any go-to line in life? Something that, you know, you look at and say, okay, this helps me push my content creation journey, or this is what I go to always.
Still be rice. No, just kidding. I don't think I have any of those things, but it's just over times. I think it's not just one specific line, but the kind of things that I've like learned from my parents.
Yeah.
My parents have also come from like a very small background, and you know, my grandfather was in the film industry back in early 90, like 40, 50s, 60s. So it was not very like glamorous as it is now. So
Yeah.
my parents, like my family, my dad and his cousins have like gone through a lot of things, and uh, I've seen it in him, his passion. Like he's 65 plus now, and he's still like pushing it and giving as much as he can to the work that he does. And I just see that, and it inspires me. So yeah, that, and like my mom's also a yoga teacher. She learned yoga, and like she takes classes and everything. And yeah, watching them and like the way they've guided me through everything. Because at one when I told them that I wanted to leave engineering, they could have just been like, no, finish it, get a job, and
Yeah.
make money. But they supported me through it. They talked to me about it, and helped me through all of the things that I have done in life till now, and supported. And like my mom is the first one to share my reels with like the family, and my
She's
dad's
also on
always,
Instagram.
yeah, and my dad shares all the podcasts that I do. Like, look how well spoken he is, and I was like, okay, that. So yeah, that definitely helps keep me going, and everything that I've learned from them, and just watching how much they've persevered in life. It really helps build that confidence and learning.
Yeah, well, there was only coming to a point to say that how it's a little inspirational as well to see the kind of journey that you've had
Yeah.
to start off as a sim racer and try and create a community like this. I can only hope that the community that you've built right now continues to grow, not only for
Yeah.
F1 in India, but also for the sport,
Mhm.
because obviously we all have become favorites of it. I think you've also been inspiring in ways and means that you're always out there to help everyone who wants to grow in the field, who wants to grow a sport, and you're always there to back them. So I want to say thank you so much for being here, for coming in, sharing about F1 racing, sim racing, and just hoping that you keep growing from here.
Yeah, definitely.
Appreciate it, man.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.